Some 500 years ago in China, nearly 1 million laborers and 10,000 skilled artisans constructed in only 14 years the largest and most complete set of palace structures the world has ever seen, Beijing's Forbidden City. Today, the 720,000 square meter Forbidden City attracts over 8 million visitors from around the world each year. The Forbidden City still stands in the very center of the city of Beijing after 580 years of history. The emperors of China's Ming and the Qing dynasties have lived here and ruled over all of China since the early 5th century AD. The Forbidden City is not only the emperor's residence. It also has a special significance. It stands at the center of the universe and is a convergence site between heaven and earth. The emperor rules over China on behalf of heaven from here. The Forbidden City, literally the Purple Forbidden City, is like the Chinese traditional legend of the Purple Palace, always enveloped by a layer of mysterious color. This mystery color owes, in a large part, to its unique space design and divisions. From the entrance Zhengyangmen to the Emperor's throne in the Imperial Palace, the distance is 1,700 meters and takes almost 20 minutes walk. On this path, which has no real function, 5 additional gates are interposed to increase the mysteriousness and difficulty in meeting the Emperor. The hindered line of sight is meant to induce suspense and trepidation. The sanctity of the emperor is effectively constructed and set off by contrast through the complex and overlapping buildings. When entering this immense and sublime palace, the sky almost seems to hang low in front of the eyes and becomes only a part of the palace. For those who come here for the first time, the enormous palaces suddenly appearing before the eye must surely make a stunning visual impact. And that is exactly the effect the Supreme Emperor of China was seeking. In 1406 AD, the third emperor of the Ming dynasty, Ming Chengzu, ordered the construction of a completely new imperial palace. At that time, China's capital was Nanjing, about 1,000 kilometers south of Beijing. But as an ambitious emperor, Zhu Di believed that the Mongolian Empire posed the biggest threat to China, and the only way to effectively deal with the Mongolians was to move the capital to Beijing. 300,000 skilled craftsmen and soldiers were recruited by the imperial court to go to Beijing. The large-scale construction of the Forbidden City deployed the resource pool of almost the entire country. That year, more than 3,000 people were sent to the mountain forests surrounding Beijing to cut down huge trees. The timber was sent floating down the Yongding River, retrieved out of the water at Lugou Bridge, and taken on a custom-made huge vehicles to the city walls to build City Gate. The demands for timber were to such an extent that officials were dispatched by the imperial court especially to collect the Nanmu wood from as far away as 3,000 kilometers in the distant borderland of Yunnan. There was also a great demand for stone in the construction of the imperial palace. The emperor believed that enormous rocks were a symbol of protection, fortifying the imperial territory with the strength of monolith. The stone used in construction of the palace was mainly cut from the nearby Fang and Palm Mountains. But how were such huge rocks delivered to the city? In winter, laborers would splash water to make a road of ice. In summer, they would roll the rocks on logs over the road. The Cloud Dragon stone carving on the north side of the Baohe Hall, or called Hall of Preserving Harmony, is the largest single stone carving in the Forbidden City with a weight of over 200 tons. This stone was taken from 50 kilometers away in Fang Mountain by 20,000 laborers using a land boat for 28 days. The immense construction project was carried out under the close supervision of the emperor himself and was completed in merely 14 years. From then on, Beijing's Forbidden City became the emperor's residence and center of the Chinese Empire. The emperor is the sole master of the Forbidden City, and his authority must be represented in every aspect inside. The dragon pattern and shape is a symbol of the emperor, which is ubiquitous throughout the Forbidden City. In ancient times, Chinese built totems of dragons, which they saw as an embodiment of strength, mystery, and power. From about the beginning of the Common Era, the dragon became a symbol of the Chinese emperor. The largest palace in the Forbidden City, the Taihe Hall of Supreme Harmony, is a symbol of the emperor's power, where many emperors have conducted various important ceremonies. The entire hall is carved and decorated with numerous dragon designs. Someone once calculated the total number of dragon sculptures and designs within and without just this one palace to be as many as 13,844. Throughout the 8,000 plus rooms of the Forbidden City, red walls and yellow tiles are a recurring theme. The ancient Chinese theory of the five elements says yellow represents the earth, which stands in the center, thus showing that the Son of Heaven rules over all from the center. Red has been revered by Chinese since ancient times as the color of fortune, representing happiness and well-being. The five elements theory also states that red governs fire, so as the most exalted place on earth, the Forbidden City must of course create a prosperous atmosphere. Not only are the buildings mainly yellow throughout the Forbidden City, but all of Emperor's instruments had to be bright yellow, the color the Emperor designated especially for the imperial family. If a minister or commoner were to use this color, it would be seen as a condemnable and punishable act of insubordination. The Forbidden City is divided into two main parts. The first half is where the emperor conducts various rituals and grand ceremonies. The second half is where the emperor lives and takes care of daily governmental affairs. There's a straight middle axial line running through the palace which connects the two halves. The importance of a hall can be verified by whether or not it is situated along the middle axial line. The Taihe Hall of Supreme Harmony, Baohe Hall of Preserving Harmony, Zhonghe Hall of Middle Harmony are named the front three halls, while the Qianqing Palace of Heavenly Purity, Kunning Palace of Earthly Tranquility, and the Jiao Tai Hall of Union are named the rear three palaces, and they constitute the most eminent and dazzling buildings of the Forbidden City. The Taihe Hall of Supreme Harmony is second to none amongst the great halls within the Forbidden City and is the largest palace of the surviving historical structures in China. The Great Hall takes up a total area of over 2,300 square meters. Within, a gold-plated chair with dragon carvings rests upon the top of 7 flights of stairs. This is the Emperor's throne. The Taihe Hall of Supreme Harmony is where the Emperor conducts grand ceremonies and handles state affairs. The grand ceremonies are very strict and solemn. When conducting imperial grand ceremonies, not only Chinese ministers but also ambassadors from various other countries waited silently in front of the gate of Supreme Harmony. The expansive square, the resplendent halls, the curls of incense smoke rising up from the pedestals, the multicolored flags, the saluting of civil and military officials in court dress while listening to ceremony music, all serve to display the prestige of the Son of Heaven seated high up on the gold imperial palace dragon chair. Behind the majestic statue of the Taihe Hall of Supreme Harmony stands Zhonghe Hall of Middle Harmony and the Baohe Hall of Preserving Harmony. The Zhonghe Hall of Middle Harmony is where the Emperor prepares and rests before meeting with the imperial court. The Baohe Hall of Preserving Harmony to the north is where the Emperor conducts the imperial examination and entertains the nobility. They are both subsidiary halls to the Taihe Hall of Supreme Harmony, with the scale and purpose under its great shadow. A threesome or trinity is an ideal structure in the minds of ancient Chinese. The Forbidden City ends at the Qianqing Gate of Heavenly Purity, with the interior court to the south and the posterior palace to the north. The posterior palace consists of the Qianqing Palace of Heavenly Purity, Kunning Palace of Earthly Tranquility, Jiao Tai Hall of Union, and 6 palaces to the east and west. This is the home of the Emperor. During the imperial times, if not at least a level 3 rank official or high-ranking imperial bodyguard or attendant by the Emperor's side, no one would dare appear in such quarters. The Taihe Hall of Supreme Harmony is where grand ceremonies and the festival celebrations are held, while the Qianqing Palace of Heavenly Purity serves more as a place for the daily affair of the state. For 300 years during the Ming and early Qing dynasties, emperors lived in the Qianqing Palace of the Heavenly Purity and its side halls. From the time of Emperor Yongzheng, however, the Qianqing Palace of Heavenly Purity was no longer the imperial sleeping quarters and became instead an important palace for state affairs. In addition, the square in front of the Qianqing Palace of Heavenly Purity was also the place where Qing emperors conducted daily work meetings, also called as administering the country at the imperial gate. Ancient Chinese emperors devoutly believed that holding court out in the open air could convey their intent of wise and diligent administration to heaven, which would in turn protect the state and its territory. After Qing Emperor Yongzheng succeeded to the throne, he moved his sleeping quarters to a small compound to the west of Qianqing Palace of Heavenly Purity called the Yanxing Hall for Cultivating Character. The rear of the Yanxing Hall for Cultivating Character is the only Chinese imperial bedroom that we can see today. Its unpretentious size and simplicity are beyond what later generations would have envisaged. The quality of natural lighting is an important indicator in measuring the status of a palace in the Forbidden City. To improve the lighting in the Yanxing Hall for Cultivating Character, it became the first palace to install glass in the Forbidden City. At the time, glass was a very rare commodity, only acquired from overseas. The stately palaces, street etiquette, and complex ceremonies all shroud the Forbidden City under a veil of mystery. Thus, still today, the countless visitors who pass through the many halls and corridors wonder with curiosity what stories might have taken place within these walls.